Um, so the winners will be based on percentage of weight loss. And so um, if you weigh a lot or if you weigh little, you have an equal chance of winning, again, based simply on how much weight you lose. And so there's no advantage to being heavier or being lighter to start with. It's all based on a percentage. We're going to divide the money up, the prize money up three ways, 50% to the winner, 30% to second place, and 20% to third place. And as I say, we're not going to have an ice cream party or pizza party at the end because that would be sort of self-defeating. And the goal, of course, is to be losers, and the losers shall win, and the last shall be first, etc. So anyways, so what are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about why weight control is important. We're going to talk about why other methods tend to fall short. We're going to talk about managing your intake by counting cups rather than worrying about calories. And you're going to figure out how you can apply this knowledge to your specific situation by the end of this half hour. So hopefully we'll make this about a half hour talk. So why do we worry about weight? It's, for the most part, it's fairly obvious. It's about health ultimately, but it's worth reviewing. Why is it important for your health? It's because for me as an orthopedic surgeon, I deal with patients who are overweight and they have worn out their hips, their knees, their ankles, their low back. And it's because every pound on their frame puts additional weight, additional stress across their knees, their hips, their ankles, their back. And so every extra pound you carry on your frame, you put an extra 5 pounds across your knee joint. And so that can be a problem. If you worry about the cardiovascular benefits, essentially the larger your frame is, the more stress it is on your heart to pump blood throughout that larger frame. And so the smaller the frame, the less work your heart has to do, the less cardiovascular risk you have. The risk of diabetes is greater as you gain weight. And so as you have more fat, it makes it harder for your body to regulate insulin and to regulate your blood sugar, and that leads to then diabetes, which then can lead to additional difficulty with maintaining appropriate blood sugar and insulin and further weight gain. It can also lead to sleep apnea. Sleep apnea becomes a self-fulfilling sort of perpetuating cycle where as you gain weight, you develop sleep apnea. That sleep apnea makes you more at risk of having a poor sleep pattern, which makes you lethargic during the day, which makes you overeat, exercise less, and then you gain more weight. And so it tends to be this vicious cycle that sort of feeds on itself. The other benefits of losing weight is increased or improved self-esteem. So you'll have better body image, better self-image. If you lose weight and you're healthier, you'll have more energy. Ultimately, it'll take less energy to do the same activities that you used to do. So if you're 400 pounds to start with and you end up being 200 pounds when you're done, it's going to take you half as much work to do every activity because now you weigh half as much. And so you don't have necessarily increased energy. It's just the fact that now it takes less energy to do the same things you used to do at a heavier weight. The other things are financial savings. Quite honestly, if you're someone who eats 15 cups of food a day right now and you go down to 10 cups per day, you're going to save 1/3 of your budget that you spend on food daily, and you're going to see financial savings in eating less. You're going to see financial savings in wearing out your shoes less, wearing out your clothing less. You're going to actually save money on gas as you weigh less. Again, is that something that's measurable? Not really, but it's the reality. There's just less energy used to do all those things. So let's look at the BMI chart. So the BMI chart is this chart right here, and it's a very simple chart. It's not really a very detailed chart, but it's the measure by which obesity is, or it's the scale by which obesity is measured. And so all the BMI chart is, or body mass index chart is, it's your height on the left-hand column. So again, anywhere from 58 inches down to 76 inches. And what you do is you just find your height, you follow that row to find your weight, and once you find your weight, you go to the top of the chart, and that's your BMI. So you'll see a BMI over 30 is considered obese, over 40 is extreme obesity. Overweight, 25 to 29, normal is less than 24. And so the problem with BMI is it's not very sensitive. It doesn't really differentiate between someone who is fat or someone who is very muscular. So for example, if you have someone who's 5'10", or also 70 inches tall, and they're 209 pounds, if you follow that to the top of the chart, you'll see that that person rates as a BMI of 30, which puts them in the bottom end of the obesity scale. So they're considered obese. But keep in mind that someone who's like Adrian Peterson, an NFL running back who's very muscular, he might be 5'10", he might weigh 209 pounds, and his BMI is 30. You know, most people would not consider someone like that to be obese. They're just very muscular and very fit. However, the same NFL fan who might be 5'10", 209 pounds, who doesn't have that same muscle content that Adrian Peterson has, also is going to have a BMI of 30. So you can see how a BMI of 30 doesn't necessarily mean the same thing for the same individual. So it's a very generic scale, but it's one that, you know, for the majority of people, because most of us are not NFL running backs, for most people, it's a pretty good measure of health and appropriate weight. For myself, I'm about 72 inches tall. I weigh about 200 pounds, and so I have a BMI right around 27. So I'm considered overweight, even though for me, I'd have to have a weight of 177 pounds to be considered a normal BMI. And I haven't seen that weight since probably 10th grade. And quite honestly, if I got my weight down to 177, I don't think I would look very fit. I think I'd be, you know, probably overly thin at that level. So again, it's not about necessarily getting down to a normal BMI. It's getting down to a BMI that you feel is healthy and appropriate for you. So why do other diets fail? Well, they fail for multiple reasons. For the most part, any diet, any activity, or I'm sorry, any treatment for anything needs, Melissa, I'm just going to mute you here real quick just because I'm getting some feedback. Anyways, any treatment needs three critical elements. It means it needs to be simple and reproducible. It needs to be effective. It actually has to actually work, and it needs to be inexpensive. And so if you can combine those three things, I think you've got a winner. Things like Weight Watchers, Jenny Craig, personal trainers, Seattle Sutton programs, you know, they're simple and they're actually pretty effective, but they tend to be expensive and they're not really good in the long term. Being simply told to eat less is very inexpensive. For someone just to go on and say, oh, it's all about portions, you need to eat less. That's great, and that's very true. It's inexpensive, but it's not reproducible. There's no formula to that. You know, how much do you eat? You don't really, nobody can define that until now. Things like supplements, diet pills, they could be effective by changing your metabolism and helping you to burn a little bit quicker, but they tend to be expensive and they're probably not very healthy ultimately. And most diets tend to focus on the short term, not the long term. And I think with ProportionFit, we're focusing not just on the short term, but also we're trying to set people up for the long term to be able to maintain a weight loss once they get to the weight they want to be. So, so why is the ProportionFit concept, why is the ProportionFit diet unique? It's unique because it satisfies all three of those criteria. It is simple and reproducible. It's self-directed. It's something that you do on your own. You don't need any meal plans. You don't need anyone else to rely on. You don't need any ongoing membership fees. It's effective. Calories and weight are a fairly linear equation. Calories and cups are fairly linear, and thus cups and weight are fairly linear, and it's been proven to be effective. We've had multiple study groups that have shown this to be effective, and it's fairly predictable. And it's inexpensive. You know, ultimately, if you buy the book, you sit through this little seminar, that's the only expense involved. And so after that, you're just going to save money because, again, if you're eating a little bit less, you're going to be saving money just on food itself. And so it's incredibly inexpensive. So again, I think we've hit the sort of trifecta here with those three things being combined for this diet program. So when I wrote the book, before I published it, I had a little clinical trial. I had 18 participants come together with a goal of losing at least 20 pounds. I sort of found people and said, hey, who wants to do this? Who wants to give it a try? And so we got 20 people together, 18 together, and we did a 2-month period, 12 females, 6 males. The average weight loss at the end of 2 months was 13.3 pounds. And when I asked that group at the end, okay, how many of you followed it really closely and how many of you sort of followed it more loosely, when you stratified the results into the people that followed it more closely, they lost over 15 pounds on average. The ones that followed it more loosely lost just over 10 pounds. And so there was sort of a mixed bag of people, you know, losing weight, but again, the ones that followed it more closely were more effective at losing weight. We've done other trials, we've done our other weight loss challenges, and for the most part, on average, about 2 pounds per week tends to be a pretty doable and a pretty manageable and a fairly predictable amount of weight loss that we see. And so we've done second trials, we've done multiple trials now, and they show very similar results. And we have had individuals with 75 pounds, even over 100 pounds of weight loss thus far. So again, it is definitely effective. So how do we go about counting cups versus counting calories? Obviously, calories in and calories out is important. Um, but let's not worry so much about the calories. Let's worry about cups. And how can we do that? We do it because we know that people burn on average about 13 to 15 calories per pound per day. And so if we just say 14, so if you take your weight, multiply by 14, that's about how many calories you require per day. If you tend to be more sedentary or maybe have a slower metabolism, whatever it is, you might burn a little bit less. You might be down in the 18 to 12 calories per pound per day. If you're fairly active, you have a high metabolism, higher muscle mass, you might burn a few more calories per day. You might burn as many as 16 to 20 per pound per day. However, again, if we take on an average about 14, that's a good number to work with. Obviously, if your caloric intake outpaces your expenditure, you're going to gain weight. If your caloric intake is less than your expenditure, that's where you're going to lose weight. And just remember that it takes about 3,500 calories to lose a pound of fat or also to gain a pound of fat. And so a 3,500 calorie deficit is what we're looking for ultimately for weight loss. And again, we'll get to a simpler way of thinking about that 3,500 calories later. So counting calories is very much an inexact science. When you count calories, you have to first measure the volume of the food that you're eating. You have to know how many calories are in that per whatever quantity per cup, and then you have to multiply. Or you have to eat prepackaged food all the time that has the calorie content on it. So instead of doing all that, if we're just going to pay attention to the cups of food that we eat, that's a much simpler method, and it's a much more effective method overall. So if we're looking at cups, what's going to be in those cups? There's going to be a combination of fat, protein, carbohydrates. Those are really the three primary components of food that give you the calories. Two other things to consider. One is fiber. Fiber is just carbohydrate, but it's carbohydrate that you don't metabolize or you don't break down. And so fiber is just something that goes through you without being broken down, so it doesn't provide any calories to your system. The other thing not mentioned here is alcohol. And so alcohol has to be counted, but again, it's not a primary component of food. So fruits and vegetables are going to tend to be high in carbohydrates. Meats, nuts are going to be high in protein and fat. Things like seafood, fish, chicken, tofu are going to be high in pure protein. Pastas and grains are going to be primarily high in carbohydrates, but also might have some protein if they're enriched. And then as I mentioned about alcohol, you have to be worried about those calorie-laden beverages. So whether it's juice, whether it's alcohol, whether it's sugar-containing pop, even milk, anything that has calories in it, you need to pay attention to, because that's a very sneaky way to put weight on your system, put calories in your system without realizing it. So things that are free are water, diet pop, coffee, tea. Again, things that don't have calories in them. So any beverages that are calorie-free, you can drink as much as you want. Sometimes people will ask about so how about a rum and Diet Coke? If I'm drinking a rum and Diet Coke, do I have to count that? Sure. Count the rum, don't count the Diet Coke. And so if you want to get down to those details again, just measure out the calorie-containing portion of it. So if we look at an example here, so let's look at vegetables. If you measure out vegetables by the cup, you'll see that the range of calories can be anywhere from as few as 10 calories for spinach or lettuce and as many as 480 calories for French fries. And so potatoes, a cup of potatoes is only 240 calories, but you throw those same potatoes into a deep fryer, turn them into French fries, they've now doubled in their calorie content. So that same cup of French fry or potatoes becomes twice as many calories by turning them into French fries. And so that doesn't mean they can't have French fries. It just means that you have to be cautious. You have to not overeat. You have to have a good balance. And so what you want to do is spread your intake out as much as possible. Have a wide variety of foods. For the most part, probably eat what you're already eating, but just pay attention to how much you're eating. You'll see that calories on average only have about 90 calories per cup. If we look at meat, poultry, seafood, much higher calorie content, on average 310 calories per cup. And so some things are fairly lean, like say crab meat only has about 120 calories per cup, whereas things like sausage, 440 calories, pepperoni, 470 calories, they're going to have a very high calorie content. Again, doesn't mean you can't have pepperoni, because it doesn't mean you can't have sausage. It just means you mix it up. You have good old-fashioned, grilled chicken, even grilled chicken, very healthy, but still 320 calories per cup. So again, it's not calorie-free, but it's good to have a good mixture of different sources of protein. So what does this all mean? It means that if you average things out, if you consider a balanced diet of fruits and vegetables, meats, grains, desserts, have some cheesecake, have some cake, have some ice cream, that's fine. On average, you're going to have about 280 calories per cup. So again, at 14 calories per pound per day. That means that every 20 pounds of body weight, you're going to take in about 1 cup. So whatever weight you are right now, if you divide that number by 20, you're eating approximately that many cups per day. And so for me, I'm about 200 pounds. That means I take in, it makes easy math, I take in about 10 cups per day. So again, before I developed the system, if I weighed 200 pounds, I took in 10 cups per day. I didn't realize it. Now that I've developed the system, I realize, okay, I do. I take in about 10 cups per day. And so again, you may not realize it, but that's about how many cups of food you eat per day. So whether you know it or not, that's the number. And so how do we go about averaging that out? So again, very simple. If you look at this chart, here's another way to look at it. Take your weight on the left. Here's how many calories you need on an average day, and that's how many cups it translates into. So again, take this number, multiply by 14, that's how many calories per day. Take this number, divide by 20, that's how many cups per day you need to be whatever weight you are right now. So if you want to lose weight, basically you need to move up the scale or to a smaller number, up this table to a smaller number, so you're taking in fewer cups per day. So what this means is that a simple 8-ounce cup, so a 1 cup portion, will make you 20 pounds heavier over time. And so if I, at 10 cups per day, start taking in 11 cups per day, unknowingly I will slowly increase my weight until I'm 20 pounds heavier. And then what happens when I'm 220 pounds, my body's going to crave at least 11 cups per day, and maybe I'm going to take in a little bit more. Say I'm going to accidentally take in 12 cups per day. Eventually I'm going to find myself at 240 pounds. And so that's how we tend to gain weight. We tend to gain weight very slowly, because if you think of just a cup, an 8-ounce cup, if you take 1/3 of a cup over 3 meals, more than you should, you're going to gain slowly 20 pounds. And so if you take in 2 cups more than you should, you're going to gain 40 pounds. If you take in 3 cups more than you should, you're going to be 60 pounds heavier. So it's a very minor amount that really makes us heavy, and that's why over time we gain weight. And the deal is your body wants and needs and signals to your mind, signals to your stomach, signals to your system through hunger that it wants more calories to sustain itself. So whatever weight you're at, your body's going to crave enough calories to maintain that weight. But as depressing as that is, a 1 cup portion can make you slowly heavier over time. You know what? We can use that in reverse to shed pounds. We can use that same knowledge to lose weight over time. So this doesn't look like a very balanced meal, but it's a demonstration of how to count cups. And so if you look at these food items, you can see how if you put an apple in a measuring cup, you can see how an apple is approximately 1 cup. And so again, that's easy to measure. If you take rice, put it in a cup, and you put it on a table, you see that little amount of rice is equal to a cup. So again, that's not hard to see. If you take another cup of rice and now you shape it to look like a piece of pizza, you realize that that piece of pizza is approximately equal to 1 cup of food. And if you take a little sandwich like this and you lay it next to a 12-ounce can, you realize, okay, those are about the same size. You realize that the sandwich is about 1.5 cups. And so again, what happens over the course of time, and it just takes usually a week or even a couple of weeks to start developing these visual cues and understand the volume of food that you're taking in. So it just takes practice, and eventually you're going to get very good at just measuring how much volume of food you're taking in. Initially, it's good to use a measuring cup or use this portion control plate that if you haven't gotten already, I'll get to you. So again, this is another way to measure out your quantities. And so the idea is you put that the meal measure plate on your plate and you put your servings in these little holes. These are each a cup. And then you know how many cups of food you're eating. For the irregular items, that's what the cutout is here for, and so you can sort of eyeball the size of that. So again, ultimately, let's assume that you're eating a balanced diet. If you're not eating a real balanced diet, let's just make sure that you start eating a balanced diet. And that means that you eat a good combination of fruits and vegetables, meats, potatoes, etc. And what you want to do is about 1/3 of your cups should be fruits and vegetables. And so whatever you take in, remember that about 1/3 of your cups should be fruits and vegetables. So if you follow that simple rule, 1/3 fruits and vegetables, you're going to be in good shape. And so if you're going to do nothing else, what I want you to do is just change one thing, and that is simply measuring the volume of food that you're taking in. That's all you're going to do. For the most part, keep eating what you like to eat, keep eating what you've been eating, but measure the quantity of food that you're eating, and I will guarantee you that you will lose weight by simply doing that. So how do you apply this knowledge? So all you do is you understand that an additional cup intake daily can make you 20 pounds heavier over time. Okay, let's just use that in reverse to shed pounds. So first, determine the cups you require for your current weight. So take your current weight, divide by 20, and that will give you the number of cups of food that you require per day. Okay, once you have that number, now you're going to eat a number of cups less than that number to lose weight. If you take away 1 cup daily, you're going to lose a ½ pound per week. If you take away 2 cups daily, you're going to lose 1 pound per week. If you take away, say, 4 cups daily, you're going to lose 2 pounds per week. So again, using myself as an example, if I require 10 cups per day, if I eat only 6 cups per day instead, so it's a 4-cup deficit, I'm going to lose 2 pounds per week. And if you go online, you can see my weight curve is on there when I applied this diet to myself to lose weight, and you can see how it gives you a very linear weight loss. Keep in mind, though, never eat less than 4 cups per day. The reason is once you get below 4 cups per day, you're going to take in fewer than 1,000 calories per day, which might put your body into a bit of a starvation mode, and you're going to tend to burn more muscle and not burn fat as well. And so it's important to try to take in at least 4 cups per day. You don't want to starve yourself. You are, however, going to feel hungry, and it is okay. Hunger is given a bad rap. A lot of people, fear hunger, and it's, you'll see ads on or advertisements for giving money to some food bank, whatever, because people are hungry. But again, hunger for some people is okay, and if you're trying to lose weight, it's okay, because again, hunger is expected. It's a natural response to a calorie deficit. Essentially, it signals that your body is wanting more calories to sustain itself where it's at, because again, it always wants enough calories to sustain itself. And if you're trying to lose weight, you're going to deprive yourself of those calories by taking in fewer cups, and you're going to feel hungry. That's okay. You don't want to trust any diet that tells you you're going to never be hungry. You don't want, because that's just unrealistic, it's unnatural, it's unsustainable, and it's just not going to happen. So knowledge is power. Understand that hunger is equal to weight loss. So if you are hungry, it means that you are craving more calories than you're taking in, which means that you're burning fat. Your body is having to mobilize its stores to maintain itself. And so the only way to not feel hungry is if your intake of cups is greater than your maintenance requirement for cups. So again, use myself as an example. If I require 10 cups per day, but I'm going to eat 12 cups per day, that's about the only way I'm going to keep myself from ever feeling hungry during the day. Even if I have a perfect balance of 10 cups per day and I eat 10 cups per day, I'm going to feel hungry because of the ebbs and flows that occur during the course of the day. You're going to feel some hunger during the day. If you're in this to lose weight, you require 10 cups per day, but you're only going to eat 8 per day, you're going to feel more hungry during the day. That's natural, and that's okay. You don't have to fear hunger. You have to especially expect it and to some degree embrace it. So here's a bit of a busy slide, but bear with me here as I explain this. This is an attempt to just demonstrate how this concept can be used in multiple ways to lose weight. And so let's imagine there's a gentleman by the name of Pat Johnson. Pat is a 300-pound individual who is 5 feet tall. So that BMI at 300 pounds, 60 inches tall, is a BMI greater than 54 in the extremely obese range. Pat says, okay, I'm 60 inches tall. I want to get my weight down to a normal BMI of 24. So the goal weight now is 125 pounds. So Pat is going to try to obviously shed a lot of pounds, 175 pounds. So Pat, starting at 300 pounds, is taking in 15 cups per day. So again, 300 divided by 20 is 15. So 15 cups per day. Pat, however, understands that at 125 pounds, Pat would only be eating 6.25 cups per day. So Pat says, okay, I really need to cut back. So what Pat does from day one is, instead of eating 15 cups per day, as is shown here, sort of on the chart, it's off by a little bit, Pat's going to only take in 6.25 cups down here. And so that's a 9-cup deficit, essentially. So I mentioned earlier, 3,500 calories is equal to a pound of weight loss. 3,500 calories is equal to 13 cups. So 13 times 280 is approximately 3,500. So 13 cups. So if Pat has a 9-cup deficit, that means that Pat is going to lose 9/13 of a pound per day. So Pat is losing almost a pound per day to start with. So Pat's going to have this very significant precipitous weight loss as he has this huge deficit to start with. But then what happens is, as Pat weight goes down, Pat has a smaller difference between the maintenance cups that he has to take in for this weight and the actual cups consumed down here at 6.25. And so what happens is, slowly the curve of this weight loss line starts to flatten out a little bit, as the deficit or the difference between these two numbers gets closer and closer. Once Pat gets down to only a 4-cup deficit, so Pat here at this level has to have 10 cups per day because Pat's at 200 pounds, taken in 6.25 cups, Pat decides, okay, I'm going to start, based on my current maintenance cups, I'm going to subtract 4, and that's what I'm going to take in. So now Pat's going to decrease his intake even more. So here, when he requires only, 9.5 cups of food, now he's going to take in only 5.5 to give himself, again, that 4-cup deficit. And so what happens now is Pat's going to go into this nice, perfectly linear weight loss where he's losing 2 pounds per week. And he's going to continue losing weight. He's going to break the rule right here, go below 4 cups for a short period of time, again, for demonstration purposes only. And once Pat then finally reaches his goal weight, here he's down to 125 pounds, Pat then goes from eating only 3 cups per day up to eating 6.25 cups per day to maintain that weight. So Pat's no longer trying to lose weight, trying to maintain that weight. So now Pat goes from eating 3 cups per day to eating 6.25 cups per day. Pat at this point, again, it's over a year later, but Pat is going to feel like this is a feast. So Pat's used to only eating 3 cups per day, but now Pat's eating 6.25 cups, double as much. His stomach has shrunk down significantly over the course of this time. Essentially, it's a ProportionFit gastric bypass that's occurred here. The stomach has been conditioned to a smaller quantity, and now Pat maintains that 6.25 cups per day. So at the end of a year, 6.25 cups feels like a feast. At the start of this whole thing, 6.25 cups felt like an absolute, restricted diet. So again, you can see how the mindset, the stomach set, changes significantly as time goes on. So hopefully through this you understand the medical problems related to weight, financial problems, self-esteem issues, and why we can improve all those things with some weight loss. Other methods tend to fall short because of lack of simplicity, lack of effectiveness, or they just are too darn expensive. We can manage our intake by counting cups rather than calories because we know that 1 cup of food equals 280 calories on average, and so if we have a good balanced diet, we know that we can just count cups and not worry about the calories. And so we're going to apply this knowledge to our specific situation by taking our weight, divide by 20, and we know that we have that many cups per day. So 1 cup for every 20 pounds of weight loss. And if you want to lose weight, you're going to subtract 1 cup from that number to lose a ½ pound per week, 2 cups to lose 1 pound per week, 3 cups to lose 1.5 pounds, 4 cups a day to lose 2 pounds, etc. So again, however rapidly you want to lose weight, you can achieve whatever goal you want by essentially just restricting the number of cups per day. And remember, hunger is going to be expected, and it's okay. It's okay to embrace that, expect that, because it is going to happen. So here are some, let's see, survey results. I'm going to go to survey results. Anybody have any questions for me while I'm just going to a different screen here real quick? So these are surveys online. So as you're doing this, if you could go online, go to ProportionFit.com and go to the track tab. You can help, or you can see, you can put in your data to see how you're doing losing weight, and you can also see how other people are doing as a group. Not individuals, but you'll see the group data. So again, if we look at people after 2 weeks of doing this program, I'm going to take this filter away. Sorry, let me try that again. So after 2 weeks on this program, we have 24 people here that have followed this either exactly or fairly closely, and most of them have actually read the book. How well have you been able to follow it? Most people are easily or somewhat easily. Some people have a little bit of difficulty as they're doing it. How have they felt? Most people feel a little hungry or somewhat hungry. It's rare to not feel hungry. For the most part, if you're trying to lose weight, you are going to feel hungry. Most people don't fit into that very hungry category, and so that's good. From an energy standpoint, most people feel either their baseline or a little bit more energetic than usual. Actually, with weight loss, when I developed this question, I thought the answer would often be less energetic or much less energetic, but in reality, as people are losing weight, immediately they start to feel a little bit more energetic, and that's because it takes less energy to do the same tasks they used to do as they lose weight. So how have you used the ProportionFit diet to lose weight? Some people are subtracting 2 cups daily, some people 3 cups, some people 4, 5, 6 cups, and some people are eating to the weight they want to be. So this eat to the weight I want to be approach is again like that example I had of Pat Johnson, who started out eating only 6.5 cups per day because Pat was eating as much as a 125-pound individual should. And so again, that's another way to lose weight. That's good for people that are looking to lose more than 40 pounds, in my opinion. If you're looking to lose less than 20 pounds, for sure you want to go with probably a 4-cup deficit, 3-cup deficit, 2-cup deficit, maybe even 6-cup deficit. Because if you only eat to the weight you're trying to be and you only have a 20-pound difference, that means you're only going to eat 1 cup less than what you weigh right now, which tends to be a very slow weight loss. And those, it's better to overshoot a little bit and then go to your maintenance once you get there. So how much weight have you lost after 2 weeks on the ProportionFit diet? So you can see some people, no weight. Majority of people, anywhere from 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, up to over 10 pounds. And so again, 2 weeks, on average, most people are going to lose 4 to 5 pounds. So about 2 pounds per week tends to be a good average. So the biggest challenge most people see is the self-motivation to stick with it, just the commitment. That's the hardest thing. The fact that they're hungry. Again, you're dealing with hungry and you're dealing with temptation around you. That's sort of the perfect combination of why it's not easy to do this. So again, it's easy on paper. It's easy to read about it. It's easy to talk about, but it definitely takes work. It takes commitment. It takes resolve to do this on a day-to-day basis. And so what's your favorite part? What works? It's easy. It's simple. I can see the results. It makes sense to me, and I can use it for a lifetime. Those are the things that we're looking for, and that's why I think we've sort of developed a winner here with this weight loss program. So one question I like to ask is, after week 2, how confident are you that you will lose at least 10 pounds in the first 6 weeks? Some people, about 30% are convinced, about 25% are confident, some are confident, and these ones are not so much. Again, they're not real convinced about the whole prospect. But if we look at other results, if we look at, let's see, the 2-month, end of 2 months. So if we look at the end of 2 months, how have people done? And again, we only have a few data points here. We have only 9 data points, so they're either a little hungry or somewhat hungry. But you'll see that after two months, we have people who've lost, only 5 pounds. One person lost 11, but we have people who've lost 16, 17, 21, 23, 25 pounds. So again, we have a wide range of people that have lost significant amounts of weight, and these are the reasons why people like this. Compared to other diet programs, they feel that it's much less expensive or less expensive than other diet programs. They feel that it's effective or much more effective than other diet programs, and they feel that it's easier or much easier than other diet programs. And so again, I think that's why we have a winner with this method. So there you go. I talked fast because I tend to talk fast, but I know you have better things to do than listen to me ramble on. Do you guys have any questions for me? Please, if you have a microphone, you want to just chime in, please feel free to chime in. If you don't have a microphone, you want to type a question in the chat box, feel free to do that. Anyone have any questions for me? No questions. Good luck, everyone. That's good. And I will create if you haven't sent me your email address already, please make sure you do so. And then what I'll do is I'll create, again, an email group, and I'll send out reminders to everyone. One other thing I forgot to mention is beware the weekend. So again, it's a lot easier to do this during the week, Monday through Friday. We're on a set schedule. On the weekend, when a nice cold beer sounds good, or you're going to a party, you're going to a graduation party, whatever, it's a lot easier to sort of lose track of things and eat too much. And so just be aware of the weekends, be very deliberate about what you eat, and keep an eye on things. Doesn't mean you can't have fun. Just be aware of it. Yeah, Stacy, I did get your information. I think I'll double check, but I'm pretty sure I got your information. I just haven't opened the email yet. All right. And Melissa, I saw you wanted to present something. Let me know if you want something. Let me know. Oh, and Carol commented that she read the book before the meeting. That was helpful, and I think that's good. I think it's, it's good to read the book before the meeting, and then the meeting sort of solidifies some of the things that you probably read. Whereas if you listen to the talk and then you read the book, sometimes it's not quite the same. I do have these online, and so if you want to go online, if you go to Nick Meyer 999 on YouTube, and then also the links are on the website. The ProportionFit.com website is also on Facebook, but I have recorded these meetings in the past, and so if you really have nothing better to do for another half an hour, and you want to watch this meeting again or hear it again, you can go online and take a look at it. All right, Melissa, excited to get started. That's awesome. Good. All right, well, I'm not seeing any questions, so I'll give you another minute if you have anything that comes up. Otherwise, I'll sign off, and then good luck to all you losers. So, yeah, we've had the craziest success we had was a husband and wife team that lost 36. The gentleman lost 36 pounds, and the wife lost 25 pounds in a 2-month period, which is pretty incredible. And then, last time around, I think the winner lost only 12 pounds. She was a little bit lighter, and so as a percentage, that was a good weight loss, and so she won the prize. So again, you don't have to lose drastic amounts of weight, and I think if you lose only 5 pounds, 10 pounds, 15 pounds, if you can lose 20, wonderful. But again, no matter how much you lose, if you think about it, you haven't gained weight. If you've gained weight, you haven't gained it quickly over time. You've gained it very slowly. And so again, if you can lose weight slowly, just to mirror that weight gain that you've had over the course of years, that's probably the most effective way to counter it. So, all right, if there aren't any questions, I'm going to sign off. You guys all have a great night. Thanks for bearing with me. And if you have any questions, please don't hesitate to call me or send me an email. And again, don't forget to send me your email if you haven't done so already. All right, have a good night, everyone. Bye.